Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to do a September new moon energy update for you. I'm going to discuss some different themes that I feel going on right now at this time. This will be round 2. I actually shot this entire video earlier this morning on the beach, but I went to the gym after that, and while I was hitting the weights, I felt like it was all wrong, it was all off, and I wanted to redo it for you guys because I feel I have a clear grasp now and can communicate a much better and more effective message. So here we go. Wish me luck. Round 2. I got my fingers crossed. Okay, number 1 is that just to recognize the gravity of the significance of this recent eclipse. I've talked about it so many times. Many of you are probably getting sick of it, but just for whatever it's worth, according to my own perception, having been kind of aware of going through these ascension waves for the past, since about 2011 is when I was aware that there was an ascension going on and started to become sensitive enough to feel the astrological shifts and alignments and cycles and so forth. What we just went through was as big as I've ever gone through. It was, again, there's been many big ones like that, but that was as big as I've ever experienced. So a lot of you who are kind of new and still might be finding themselves like surprised that, wow, the awakening, the ascension is really like this. It's not at all what I would imagine. When can I opt out? You know, that was about as rough and like disruptive energetically as it can get. And of course, that's going to be experienced on a very individual level. That's not to say I haven't gone through challenging times. I'm talking more about the general ascension energies. That was big. So you have that now as a notch on your belt, and you can take that with you going forward. I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that. And now finally, even though it took some time, we're starting to feel and reap the benefits of it, which I will get into right now. So one of the themes you might be experiencing right now with this new moon is finding yourself doing some fine-tuning or some minor tweaks or little adjustments on perhaps what were once vague and more large-scale, broad ideas of where you want to go in life, who you want to be. We're all on this journey of self-discovery. See, again, this past August might have shaken you to the core on a fundamental level, giving birth to like a brand new path or just new ideas about who you are and your place in the world. And now it's time to start getting more specific. Like, okay, you've had this perspective shift, this paradigm shift. Now what do you want to do with it? You might find yourself just thinking about that. I'm not really asking you, but you might be asking yourself, well, okay, how do I want this to look exactly? Or maybe you've even forgotten about the shift that you've went through, or like the realization you want to maybe do something else with your life or with yourself or whatever. This could be taken in your own individual way, and the new moon might also be reminding you that, remember you said this, remember you wanted this. And even though when these alignments come along, they can tend to make our soul's path of the utmost importance, and we'll have negative feedback when we're like deviating from that path. But then as things kind of settle down, we're free to roam and like get a little bit more sloppy and complacent. While the new moon is back, it might be saying, hey, remember that thing you said you wanted to do? Well, let's get on that. How do you want to do it? You might find yourself, again, combination of thinking about in a more specific way. You might make some minor adjustments. A new moon oftentimes brings new insight, or it might very well be a reminder of something you said you wanted to do and now it's time to do it. Number 2 is I think you'll find that you have more self-control, which, thank goodness. I know a lot of times the energy is so disruptive and it makes us feel so agitated at the core that remaining grounded in being like healthy and mindful and going about life in a way that we're pleased with can be very, very challenging when you feel so, again, just so like internal chaos going on. There are times that within the internal chaos you can force healthy habits and eat healthy and avoid things that you know aren't really benefiting you. But there's those weak moments that are bound to happen throughout life, where when there's the agitation combined with some sort of catalyst, it's like, and then you deviate from your path of self-discipline, and then you get down on yourself and, oh my goodness, I'm a failure, yada yada. Well, anyways, I think we all can relate to that to some extent. I don't think that'll be as much of an issue now. And if you haven't really tried again, I would recommend that. Try again. There are things that you might have wanted to implement or do or prioritize in the last month or so that you found almost impossible. There's no time, there's no energy, there's no motivation, you lack the discipline. Well, now I would expect that you'll just have a little bit, at least, a noticeably smoother time doing that. So just because it can be challenging one time in one type of energy with one type of life theme going on, it doesn't mean it's always going to be the case. You just got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then you can take advantage when things kind of calm down. So just saying, it's a good time that I think you'll have more success just being more healthy, more mindful. Maybe you've been putting off joining the gym, that kind of thing. Thirdly, you might be finding yourself experiencing some really nifty, really mind-blowing, trippy almost, fourth density-like consciousness functions, we'll say. You might be having symptoms of the shift in your perception of time and space and reality and yourself. It might be changing to a degree now that is more noticeable. I'll give a brief example. It's the way this kind of played out for me. But this is not gonna, what I'm saying is not at all limited to what I'm about to share. This is just a little example. So, me and my wife were out on our date night the other night. And as I've shared before, a lot of times what we do for our date night every Friday is we don't eat all day. We build up a nice appetite, and then we can go to dinner, and we have a whole day's worth of calories we can consume in one massive epic meal, which is just so fun and satisfying to us. Anyway, but usually at the tail end, right when we're about to get our food, we're obviously, as you can probably assume, very hungry, ravenous. So we were sitting down and enjoying each other's company. We had ordered our food. It's been a little while, and we were foaming at the mouth almost, just ready to eat. And my wife said to me in that moment, she said, every moment that passes, we'll be closer to when our food arrives. And as she said that, it was like that statement did not make sense to me at the time. It did not align with that present, that temporary, that state of consciousness. And it did not compute. It was like, no, it's the now. When the food comes, it's the now. Each moment passing has nothing to do with... it sounds kind of weird, but there's a glitch in my ordinary relationship with time, and it was noticeable. In that moment, as I realized that glitch, I had this profound sense of, whoa, man, you really have changed consciously in a way that you could have never possibly described or predicted, and it's like, wow, damn. My wife had kind of an equally interesting experience, very different, where she was at the grocery store, and she felt like she ran into, this will sound weird, this is in no way am I trying to convince you that this is actually real. I fully realize this could not be the case, but the way she explained it to me is that she felt that she ran into a parallel version of herself. Take that for what you will. Where she met, it was like an older woman, actually a pretty elderly woman, and they made eye contact, and there was like a very intense connection, like they knew each other. And a lot of times with soulmates or the divine recognition that you resonate with something, you have your own perception and sort of loose intuition of what it implies and what it's all about. And hers was, it just felt like it was like two timelines temporarily bent into each other, and for a moment they were both right there in the same little reality bubble. Anyways, again, those are two little tangent examples. You might be experiencing this in a completely different way, but I would bet that you're starting to feel the fact that you are shifting and your consciousness is changing in a very noticeable and profound way, and this is very exciting. It's very exhilarating. A lot of people, they express to me like, how do I know this is real? And normally I suggest that it doesn't matter if you know, you should just kind of keep living your life. But it's times like this where your experience of it is certainly real, at least in that moment. So anyways, hopefully you're having some kind of cool stuff going on. Maybe not. If you are, I'd be very interested if you want to leave some comments and just let me know what's going on with you. It helps me get a lot of insight into where you guys are at. And then lastly, I'm gonna title this last point, a blending of the divine with your basic intellect. It's not one or the other. It's not intellect versus intuition. Which is better? Which should I use? It's not at all black and white. Part of the interesting dance we're trying to figure out is how to blend the two. We're not just vanishing into vapor and gonna ascend out of here. We're physical. We're probably gonna be physical this entire incarnation. And it's about how much divinity can we blend into this human, physical-ish experience. And what I'm saying is the way you might experience this is initially, it's like a big shift. It's a big change in how you relate with your life and your awakening. Something I've gone through, and I'm seeing it in a lot of other people. What I mean is that for a long time during the journey, you're always, in a sense, guided of that next step. You have a dream, or a knowing, or some synchronicity unfolds, or just some way of knowing, some external means of guidance, very similar to if you were riding on a train and there was a conductor always, and sometimes he would stop and get off and have lunch, and you just sit there wondering what's going on. But eventually he would come back, he'd do his thing, and then he would start up that train again, and you're like, ah, okay, now I'm being guided. Well, there's a time in the spiritual journey where the conductor just leaves. He doesn't come back. He quits his job, he's gone. And you're just sitting in an empty train wondering, why is it stopped for so long? I know I've stopped before, but I always know what to do. I always get the right information to tell me the next thing to do, and I've been waiting a long time and I'm getting a bit antsy. You might find that your life situation, this is not for all of you, but some of you, I can tell because I'm talking to you, a lot of you guys, your life situations that, things that need to be dealt with at some point are starting to kind of stack up and accumulate. But you're still waiting for that conductor. Like, okay, I know what to do in this situation. I know sometimes things look grim, but I know I'll know. I know he'll come back. You're looking out the window, he's not there. Where is he? This blending of the divine and intellect is sort of like a merging with your higher self. For a while, your higher self is perceived as something else, or even like your inner being, something other than you. Well, it really is all you in a sense, and there's a time where you step into that role and take the reins. It's a time where you get up out of that passenger seat and go and take the wheel. And not wait to be told what's next. You decide what's next. Where do you want to go? What sounds exciting? What kind of experiences would you like to create for yourself? Well, there's nothing stopping you but the illusion that you need to wait for someone to tell you how to do it. There is no mission, there is no right thing, there is no one path. There is you as a co-creator now free to roam in this earth plane, far more enlightened than ever before. Nothing stopping you but perhaps yourself and the feeling like you're not ready. That feeling will not leave you until you prove to yourself you are ready and get behind that wheel and start driving away. You run into some things, it's your first time driving a train, that's okay. When I was younger and I was in driver's training, I was practicing with my dad, and I was pulling up in the driveway and I mistook the accelerator, or the brake for the accelerator. I drove all the way into our garage. I broke the garage door. All my friends were there. They'd never let me hear the end of it. But you know what? I drive just fine now, and that's kind of the same gig. So if you find that your life is not changing and you're getting a little bit antsy and impatient, and you've been waiting a while, well, it's probably time. It's probably an indication that you are ready to be your own source of divine guidance. And that will feel very normal. It'll feel like just common sense, really. It won't feel like anything so magical and mystical and external. Though those things you will get from time to time. They're not at this point, if this is you, to be relied upon. It's more about self-reliance, self-empowerment. And the changes you've gone through this past couple of months is going to arm you in a way that you might have never even expected. That you're a lot more ready than you think. Anyways, my friends, I hope this message resonates and translates and helps you and uplifts you in some way. You can let me know in the comments section. I'd appreciate it. It's been nice talking to you. I do like the way this video came out much better than my first one. I wish you all the best this month. I'll talk to you all very soon. Have an amazing day. Namaste.